color wheel is not in terrible shape, but it does need a cleaning. So we are going to, let's see, let's start with the sensor on this side. So that Phillips head has to come out. Let's go with a 0. So now that that's out, get the small needle nose, and let's move it away, the board, so that we can clean the photocell, because the photocell is probably covered in crud. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's that little black thing there, but it's dusty. So now we get a clean Q-tip, or at least the clean side of the Q-tip. And then in here, down in there, where it's looking, there's a piece of glass. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a piece of glass, and that black thing, as it goes past, this thing's got to be losing its mind. There's a bunch of dust in there. See, that sensor looks for that black mark to go across. But there's all that dust inside, and it's definitely causing a problem. So this thing's got to be torn down much further. Alright, so next, the best way to do this. That side. Can I get that glass out from that side, maybe? Let's see, let's take this cover off and see what we can see. I don't like exposing the glass, but let's see. This makes me a little nervous. So I'm really going to try and put this back on as soon as possible. Glad I took it off though. It's filthy. Everything's filthy in here. The foam in. There's all that dust underneath. You can see it around the edge. I think I'm just going to go hit it with the air compressor and see what happens. I'll be right back. That did it. You can see those edges are clean, but more importantly, this little window in there is clean. You got to get back on its little pin and get it down into position, but that little window is much cleaner. I'm still gonna pop it out to give it a little wipe down, because I do see a couple little bits still stuck to it. It's just kind of a pain to get out. Go. Getting it off that pin's the first part, and then trying to roll it out of here. There we go. Yeah, you can see there was still a little bit on the back side right there. Much better. Now it needs to go back in. And then this goes back in. Actually, I'm going to put this cover back on first, because like I said, having that open makes me really nervous, because all you need is a little pressure and these glass panels just snap. I've done it. Alright, let's get the first screw. And the second. you got that black one on the back that holds the color wheel sensor in place. Come on, line up. It's not quite on the pin. Get a little straighter. Looks like I need to just kind of wiggle this back under. There we go. Oh, that'll do it. Beautiful. Pardon me. I like that. Alright, so this is ready to go back in. And it goes back in the same way it came out. And it goes in front of the iris. There's pins down there, so as it slides in, those line it up. Then we can tighten the screws, and these do not have to be super tight, just snug so they won't turn themselves back out. And I'm going to plug this back in so that I can put the lamps in and test it with the top off, like I meant to do earlier. I can't do this one-handed, pardon me. It's clean in here. The lens is now clean. There's still some dust on the outside part here, but that's alright. And looks like there's a little bit of dust here. So we'll give that a wipe and then we'll clean it later. It's coarse there, it's grabbing the wipe. Alright, so now we're going to put this back in. We have to make sure it's oriented so that the circuit board is lining up with the circuit board inside. And we're just going to go straight in. And I have to turn it, I guess, a little bit just to get through that gland. And I'm going to set it there. I'm going to move you guys so you can see. There we go. Lift up on the latch, drops in. Push the latch down. That locks it. That's it. That gets that lens back in. It's good to go. At least the lens is. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to spin the whole thing around and drop the lamps in and see if we can power it up. Now we're ready. I got the lamps in. I switched sides with them just to check it out, and I jammed the lamp access switch down by sticking a little piece of plastic in there to hold that button down. I can always yank it out if I have to. I do not have the indicator lights hooked up, but there are some lights in the back I can use if I have to. But really what I'm looking for here is I want to hear the color wheel spin up. I want to see if the fans are all running. I want to see how these lights come on. That blurry image might be due to the lens, but I don't know. I can take it out to the other area where I have a longer throw to try it, but let's power it up and see what she does. And contact. One fan, test fans, back fans are on. Yeah. Alright, so we got one lamp. The other lamp looks like both lamps lit. That's good. They're shining in that little prism thing, that mirror. And then there goes the iris, or the aperture. Where's that going to? It's going to full open. Color wheel is spinning. Yeah, color wheel spinning. It's all nice and bright. Lamp fans came on. That's a good sign. And we have that same little blob on the screen. So let me see if I can get this focused so we can see if everything's working okay. Let me turn this overhead light off. You know, one thing I'm not seeing though is I'm not seeing that flickering anymore. It was pulsing before and it's not doing it now. So, alright, let me see if I can focus this. Be right back. Well, I can't get it to focus too easily, but I definitely can see everything's running much better. The lamps are running nice and bright. They definitely are going to be running cooler. There's one with the bad lens. I'm going to replace that lens. The melted metal on the back, that little spot won't hurt anything. But I have a feeling the whole problem with this projector was all that dirt. Dirt's just really bad for projectors. All that just, it makes everything overheat. If you like your electronics, keep them clean. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to shut it down, put the top back on with a couple screws, and then bring it out to where I have more room to make sure that I can focus and get a good image out of it, to make sure the DLP chip's running okay. Now I'm set up so that we can test out here. You can see I'm running a VGA cable in. And I'm going to put a couple screws in so I can actually set the top back on. I want to use the door switch, make sure that's all functioning right. But you can see it's all clean. I was able to fire it up yesterday, and today I'm going to just get this partially mounted back together. There we go. So let's get some screws in. These two screws go to these two rubber pieces that act as a sort of a shock vibration dampening for the lens assembly. So I put those in a little less torque than I would with the screw gun. So I'm actually going to put all of the screws back in the top because it'll make testing that door switch better, and I don't expect to have to go back inside anywhere up here. I am putting them in a cross pattern to a degree so that everything tightens down evenly. There we go. Now we'll get the top. So we're going to have to feed that back up through. Make sure these are tight. Yeah, they feel good. That'll plug in as well. So the color wheel wire, it'll come up between that little triangle piece right in there. Now that the sub top or inner cover is on, we can put the top cover back on. Now to put the top cover back on, we do have to thread this wire back up through the little area right here. So it's going to come up through there. But to put the cover on properly, it has to go on this way. There's little catches there and there that need to go in and grab on that front plate. So I'm going to set the front on. those tabs in place. Come on. There we go. Oh, it's really ornery. Then I'll feed the wire up and through. And the back wire. There we go. Yep. Front's in. Let's get these two screws in. Thing's got a surprising amount of torque for a little hand-powered driver. It's not super strong by any stretch, but I don't really need to turn it much more to get it tight. And this is actually what you would do normally if you were going to change the lens. You would open this cover up and then do the whole lens removal and reinstallation. I have another video that shows how to do that. I'll link it in the bottom. Now we gotta put the screws in the back. Let's see, next to the door switch. Definitely one of the nicer projectors I've worked on. Worked on quite a few, but this one is up there with some of the nicer Sim2s I've worked on. Now these back two screw holes, the drill driver will not fit, so I'll use this one. Plug the color wheel wire back in. It is keyed, so it only fits one way, so be careful. And then we're going to wipe this down. This plastic has a textured coating or a textured mold to it. It makes it very hard to get the dust out of it. Listen, now fortunately this cloth holds itself. I try to use a paper towel, there'd be paper bits everywhere. So what I'm finding is I kind of want to blot. The inside is all clean, so we'll close that and then we'll see how this works. Because you can't really rub on it. And granted, this is all surface, so it's not that big a deal, but it'd be good to get it as clean as possible. Especially up here. Seems to be working. We'll see when this dries if it just pushed the dust around or if it's actually clean. That's better. Not that that'll, affect operation, but definitely better. Okay, so now let's plug it in and get it ready to test. And powered up. Start the DVD. And now we should have light starting to come out. headlights coming up. I turned off the overhead lights. Let's see how the image looks. Alright, there's the IP address in the bottom. Let's switch inputs. I don't know where the source button is. Oh, there we are. Video, composite, VGA 1, there we are. Alright. Now it is not in focus very well. See if I can do anything about that. That's a little better. So there you go. This is just a test video, Small Criminal Minds or something, I forget. But yeah, this is working good. This is a real long throw projector, so I'm not surprised that the image is so small, because it's supposed to go really far. But that's really all there is to it. Clean that projector and get it back to the customer now. So, as usual, thanks for watching.